WGSN-DB Going Solo Network welcomes you to the Relationship Recovery Show with your host, Shan White, divorce recovery coach, who helps people create the life they see when they close their eyes and dream. Let's listen in as we hear about techniques, tools, and strategies to recover and heal from a relationship due to breakup, divorce, or even death. Here's Shan now.
Hello and welcome. This is Shan White with Relationship Recovery. I am the host of your show tonight. So glad to have you back. Tonight we're going to be talking about such an important topic, and that is masterful mindsets while in transition. The transition could be divorce, death, breaking up, long-term relationship. Our mindset is one of the most important aspects of your life. With a successful mindset, possibilities are endless. Without a good mindset, you will find yourself in a perpetual frustration in the sense of never really moving forward. It feels like you're stuck. Think of your mindset as a rudder on the boat of your life. If you use it properly, it'll guide you to your ultimate destination. If you use it improperly, it will cause you to end up going in circles. And who wants that? After studying some of the masters on mindset, and by the way, this is a huge topic, I put together some vital principles of a strong and successful mindset, especially when you're dealing with challenging changes and relationship transitions in your life. Okay, so let's get started. Number one is purpose. What is your purpose during this transition? What is your intent that you want to do with your life? What do you want to create? If you can't answer the question of why you're doing what you're doing, the how to do what you're doing will lack absolute drive and passion. Rick Warren, who wrote the book, The Purpose-Driven Life, said, without purpose, life has no meaning. Without meaning, life has no significance or hope. My intent tonight is to give you that sense of significance and hope and purpose. It's imperative to dig deep and understand why you are doing what you are doing. Once the root reasons are revealed, the how is going to flow naturally. I remember 7 years ago when my husband left just literally out of the blue and left me with the house. Some of you are in new homes and you get to set a new intention for your home and your life and your kids if you have them. My intent was, because it was so tumultuous, fighting, screaming, yelling, slamming doors. It was such a negative environment that I decided right then and there, the moment that he left, that this home would now be a home of comfort, peace, tranquility, and just a place of recluse. Imagine you're in a place where you're comforted by a warm, soft blanket, and there's peace. Oh my gosh, don't we need peace, you guys? And that's what I said. And from that day to this, there has been very few exceptions and people come in to the home and say, oh my gosh, it just feels so good here. Well, you have the power to set your purpose over your life, your future, your job, your kids, your home. With the home, that was my big thing, because it just, like I said, it was so tumultuous. So decide why you're doing what you're doing and what your intent is, and make a clear and decisive decision, a quality decision, and don't let anything interrupt that. Do you know, because my husband left so unexpectedly, and we bought this home for a 2-income home, so he put me in a tailspin. I had to get roommates. And when those roommates did not match up to that intent, a home being comfort and peace and tranquility, they had to go. And don't you know, I needed the money desperately. But my intent, my purpose was so strong that I was not going to allow upset in the home. So consider that. Next one is P for prioritize. If you can't answer the question of what's important in your life, then you are going to feel scattered and confused and have no sense of direction. Every day, do the thing that you don't want to do the most. You're like, what? That's the thing that goes on the last of the list if I ever do it at all. Well, Brian Tracy, who's, such a great trainer and author, he has likened this habit to eating the frog. I love this, you guys. No, don't puke. I'm not talking about, physically, literally eating a frog. But if you figuratively eat the frog, that frog meaning the thing that you want to do the least, deal with your ex, talk to the school counselor, it could be a number of different things. You're going to find that if you eat that frog first thing in the morning, everything else tastes wonderful to you and will feel easy in comparison. We have a tendency not doing the hard thing. Why? Because it's hard. But you know what? I have implemented this practice in my life, and I can tell you from experience that when I have eaten the frog, everything else goes so, it's like they say in Texas, like greased babies just going downhill. The next one is persistence. Persistence. The mindset of success doesn't ask if. Instead, it asks how. If you are asking yourself, if I can overcome this challenge in my life, then consider a shift in your mindset. Instead, ask, how can I overcome this challenge? You are much more capable than you think that you are. And I am telling you, if you start shifting that one word, take out if, and start asking how, you will find your mind has a genius brain. And when you start saying how, it opens up the possibilities, and you're going to find yourself being so much more creative and solutions that you would have never thought of before if you go in thinking, if I can do something. That already sets the tone. Negativity and doubt, and there's a chance I can't do this. That's wrong. You can do this. You can overcome and deal with this challenge that you've got. Start asking how. Your mind's going to start finding solutions. I don't know if you know Diana Nyan, but she is a 60-year-old swimmer who swam from Cuba to Florida in 53 hours straight, you guys. She dealt with hunger, pain, cold, jellyfish biting her, and probably every kind of other creature in the sea. And you know what she said when she came out of that? It wasn't her first attempt, but she succeeded. And she came out of that saying, find a way. Find a way. She said, if it's important to you, we can all get there. And then she went on to talk about, jellyfish, seasickness, pain, cold. What is your jellyfish that you're dealing with? What is your seasickness? How can you work the problem? The next mindset is perception, self-perception, how we perceive ourselves. You know, and I know that we have a tendency of having a negative self-perception. It's a universal human condition of not feeling good enough or deserving. Tell me that's not true. This is very common when we are dealing with divorce, death, breakups, huge transitions in our lives. That's our go-to place, is we feel unworthy, unloved, unneeded, unwanted. And one of the best ways of discovering how to truly perceive yourself is and here's the challenge, I'm throwing out the gauntlet to you tonight, to start monitoring your self-talk and be brutally honest with yourself. Do an audit of how much negative self-talk you have. We all do it. I'm so stupid. I'm a jerk. I'm a loser. I'm blah, 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 blah. You know, we all do it. I've done it. And you know what? It just takes us back down into a negative spiral. So what I challenge you to do is just increase your level of awareness. That's all you have to do. Very simple. Just start listening in to that inner voice. And when you hear yourself say, let's say you unloaded the dishwasher and you're doing it in a hurry because life's so crazy and you broke a dish and you're like, oh, I'm so stupid. I want you to, first of all, be aware of that thought. If you can catch it, and good for you if you can, think of a way to creatively reverse that thought in a positive spin. Even if it's just a little, this is going to be a discipline for you. But for example, and I've done it too, when I dropped the dish and said, oh, I'm so stupid, stop. If you catch it, think of something different. For example, you know what? I'm not stupid. It was a mistake. I had an accident. Everybody breaks dishes. I'm going to let this go and move on. I'm not stupid, and I'm valuable, and I'm a worthy person. Please consider this. Remember Henry Ford's famous quote, who said, the unexamined life is not worth living. Do you want to have a life that's worth living? Then consider examining what's going on the inside and making small, simple, easy shifts. Well, you're listening to WGSN-DB Going Solo Network. We're going to take a break right now, and then we will start up again. Talk to you in a sec.
You're listening to WGSN-DB Going Solo Network, Singles Talk Radio channel, where we take a lighthearted and candid approach to discussions on the journey of relationship loss, divorce, parenting, being single, relationships building, dating, and yes, sex. Join our listeners and begin living your best life.
Hi, everyone. This is Lisa Copeland, the host of the You Can Find Love After 50 show. You can catch my show on Monday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central, where we'll talk about how you can find love after 50 on the WGSN-DB Going Solo Network.
Okay, welcome back. You are listening to WGSN-DB. I would like to quickly move backwards and talk about where we left off for those that have just tuned in. This is Shan White. I am the host of Relationship Recovery. We're talking about masterful mindsets while in difficult transitions. Those transitions could be breakup, divorce, death, long-term relationship. We're talking about the P's of mindsets. The first one was purpose. Think of why you're doing what you're doing, because if you don't have the why, you're not going to have the passion of the how. Prioritize. Every day, do the first thing that you don't want to do. Why? Because if you figuratively eat that frog, everything else is going to taste wonderful and it's going to feel easy in comparison. Persistence. The mindset of persistence doesn't ask if, instead it asks how. When you're facing a challenge, and we all are during these difficult transitions, start asking yourself, how can I overcome this challenge? No longer use the word if, because it sets you up for failure. Next one is perception, self-perception, negative self-perception. Oh, it's a universal human condition of not feeling good enough, or worthy, or unloved. The best way is to start auditing your self-talk and think of ways to change it into a negative, reaffirming, positive statement to yourself. All right, let's pick it up where we left off. Procrastination. We're all guilty of it, right? We all procrastinate, especially during these transitions where there's so much difficult stuff that we don't want to deal with. It is what? Hard. That's why we don't want to do it. But this is my favorite P of mindset. Stephen Pressfield, he is the author of The War of Art. He said, get this, he said that in reality, procrastination is an internal force called resistance. He goes on to explain that we feel resistance most strongly when we're about to, get this, when we are about to dare greatly or grow spiritually. Oh my goodness, this was such a revelation for me. So what he's saying is that when you're feeling procrastination, stop for a moment and just pretend you are experiencing that right now if you're not already. And go inward. Doesn't it feel that internal force like a resistance? Kind of like I don't want to do that. Well, that's what he says. But what he says about resistance is we're feeling that just as we're on the edge of growing spiritually or daring greatly. The first time I fell into procrastination after reading this, I tried it myself. And I have to admit to you, I just got plain stubborn about it. I just had to grit my teeth and make myself do that thing that I didn't want to do, that I was avoiding. And you know what? I really did expand as a person. I really do believe that I grew from that experience. So the next time you procrastinate, try pushing through and see what comes out of it. I'd love to hear about it, by the way. So please let me know if you try this experiment. It's a really fun one. I'm not saying it's easy, but it's a really, really fun one just to see what comes out of it. You just feel so good after you dealt with that difficult issue, talked to that difficult person, and handled it well, and instead of avoiding it, take it face on. It kind of makes you feel like you put your big boy or your big girl pants on. It's so cool. Try it. Okay, so the next one is perfection paralysis. I love this one. We all have a tendency of falling into perfectionism. Tony Robbins, for those of you that don't know, he originally coined the term life coach, is the co-founder of the coaching school that I graduated from. And he says, perfectionism isn't about healthy striving for excellence. It's a way of thinking and feeling that says, listen into this, if I look perfect, do it perfect, work perfect, and live perfect, here's the payoff, I can minimize shame, blame, and judgment. So let's think about that for a second. If we are striving to do everything absolutely perfect, isn't it true that if we dig deep and look inside, our intent, our motivation is that let's say you're writing a book. If I write this book and do it absolutely perfect, I can avoid being shamed because I had a bunch of typos or I had bad grammar or whatever. Blame that, you're such a loser, son. You're never going to be anything. This is all your fault. You tried something and now you made the family look. Or judgment. That's a big one, right? We try to avoid being judged. That is the root motivation, fear of judgment, that we want everything perfect. Where does that come from? Because we don't love and accept ourselves, exactly as we are. Unconditional love to ourselves is really the key. Perfection honestly does not exist, you guys, because it's unachievable. So what I recommend is instead, and I used to be the perfectionist queen, so this really helps if you will consider it. Try focusing on your capacity for excellence. Everybody has the capacity for excellence, and when you use excellence as a goal instead of perfectionism, that is something. Excellent is an achievable goal each and every day. Consider working towards an excellent outcome instead of a perfect outcome. So remember, perfectionism does not truly exist. You're shooting for a goal that is unachievable. If you want to stop the treadmill, and by the way, I got this from my mom. I was taught from a young child that if you perform right, like a little robot, like a little puppet, and you do as I expect and say as I expect and behave as I expect, I will give you that approval and that love. But when you do not do exactly as I expect, I will withdraw my love from you. And it was cruel. And it taught me to act like a little puppet on a string. And I went for the next, 2, 3, 4 decades of always looking for approval. Because that's what I was taught, that unconditional love doesn't exist. It does exist. It exists. And the first place I want you to start is giving yourself unconditional love. Accept yourself and love yourself exactly as you are. You are a perfectly imperfect human being. And when you start accepting, loving, forgiving, issuing compassion to yourself, you are going to find that you no longer need to behave in a perfect world, a perfect way, in order to gain others' approval. It just falls off of you. And so what I'd like to conclude with is, remember, if you can train, remember we talked about in the beginning how your mindset is like a rudder. And if that rudder is off track, you're going to go in circles. But if it is on course, it's going to get you to where you want to go. So if you can train the rudder of your mindset in more positive, constructive, healthy, forward-moving ways, then the boat of your life, if you will, is going to reach the destinations of your dreams. I want you to know that you are a worthy and a valuable human being, regardless of your performance. You are listening to WGSN-DB, Going Solo Network. I want to thank you for spending this time with me. And this is Shan White, host of Relationship Recovery, signing out. Talk to you next week.